If you're in Pennsylvania and you're not living with the other parent of your children, and you are the person that has the children at least 50% of the time or more, you may be entitled to child support. Certainly, if you have them more than 50% of the time, you definitely are entitled to child support, regardless of who makes more money. If you have a 50-50, then it's based on who makes more money. The person that makes more money has to pay the child support. The court in Pennsylvania will enter a support order upon request as long as the two of you are living separately. Collecting it is also done through the court system. Wage attachment is the preferred method for the payment. But the way that it works is there are guideline calculations. So the court's going to look at the incomes of both parties, your income and the other person's income. And if someone doesn't have an income, there could be an assessment, meaning, are you able to work and what would be a reasonable income? Sometimes the court's going to use a zero income if you have small children that are not in childcare and it's the amount that it would cost for childcare exceeds the cost of what you could possibly earn. So there's different factors, but generally the court is looking at your incomes. If someone is self-employed, the child support may get a bit more complicated because the court will often look at different expenses, the business records to determine what the actual cash flow income would be in that case. So if you need the court to do more investigation, you would have to do a petition for a complex case. That'll allow you to do discovery, meaning you could get the business records of your spouse in order to determine if their income is greater than what they're reporting on the tax return. When you get child support, you're going to get a basic amount of support. And that's based on the guidelines, which are based on the income level of the parties, as well as the number of children that are covered. In Pennsylvania, any child that is 18, that is still in high school, is entitled to child support. If they've graduated from high school and they're still 18, they're also going to get child support until they turn until they turn 18. So it's graduation from high school or 18, whichever is later. That's the obligation. Now, there are some special circumstances where a child might not be able to be independent. So if you have a special needs child, you may have an obligation or a right to collect support for a much greater time period. And it could be lifetime depending on the circumstances. Child support is something that is gender neutral. It's really based on, like I said, who has the children. And they look at overnights in Pennsylvania. So when you're looking to decide if it's 50-50 or greater, you're looking at how many overnights does the child reside with the parent in a 2-week period, averaged out over the year, for the child support. In addition to the basic amount of support, there are now remedies to collect additional things that maybe previously you couldn't get. So the new additions are if your child is in activities, say soccer, baseball, cheerleading, and there's a cost for those activities, you can now seek contribution from the other parent towards those activities that are agreed upon in custody, and it's in proportion to your incomes. In addition, the cost of medical insurance is something the court factors into that basic monthly amount that you're going to get. If you're the one paying it, you're going to get a credit or you're going to get an addition to your child support amount. In addition to that, if there are any special needs, monthly fixed costs, you could have that built in. Any before or after school costs, camp costs are also in addition to the basic child support amount, and they're going to be in proportion to your incomes. When you're talking about activities, like I said, in Pennsylvania, it's going to be activities agreed upon, which are in custody. If you have joint legal custody, you have to agree upon those activities. So sometimes that's an area of litigation. In addition, private school tuition. Say you're a parent and your child hasn't even started school yet, and you want the child to go to Catholic school or private school, and the other parent wants the child to go to a free school. That is something that you would have to litigate in custody court. Otherwise, if the child's going to private school and the other parent does not consent, they may not be obligated to contribute towards that. But if a child's already in private school, you have a good argument that the other parent already consented and they're going to be obligated to share their proportion of that cost. So for child support, every case is unique. Your amount of support is going to be different than your neighbors, even if they have the same number of children, because it is based on circumstances and income levels of the party, as well as cost of medical insurance and everything else. The best thing to do would be to contact an attorney to have them run your expected support, obligation or receipt, what you can expect to receive, so that it helps you plan when you're going to be living apart. Someone that is receiving child support, that's a factor that a mortgage company is going to look at. It's also something that if you're going to rent, they're going to look at. So sometimes we'll write letters about what you're going to get in child support, enable you to qualify to get housing, whether that's a mortgage or it's something that you're going to get, for a rental. It enables you to be able to move forward because they'll be able to project that amount of income coming into your household. And likewise, if you have to pay child support, it's going to impact your ability to get a mortgage as well because it's another expense that's going to be added to your debt. So it's important on both sides to know what that information is, and a calculation done at a lawyer's office can help provide that information for you.